Right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome the council members, department heads, to our January 18th, 2022 regular city council meeting caucus. In reviewing the agenda items, the first couple are administrative. However, we do have a communication from one of our citizens relative to a parking issue. Mr. City Clerk, do you have that letter handy?
I do. Received this email on Tuesday. Last Friday. It says his name is Steve Safransky. He's a Bethlehem Park resident. He states, as a resident of Bethlehem Park, I'm hoping that we can make an adjustment to the parking on the street during the winter months. Suggestions as no parking from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. so plowing can be done in a more efficient manner. I know that Ridgewood Village has no parking on streets in their neighborhood. Maybe we can follow suit. So basically he's looking for some type of arrangements.
Bethlehem Park has had parking issues and plowing issues, especially this time of the year, obviously, and with the streets being so narrow in Bethlehem Park. Perhaps we should refer that to the law department and the police department for a recommendation. In addition to that, we do have a traffic committee that's really hasn't been staffed with volunteers. I had one, Orlando Taylor, had requested to be a member of that committee, and I think Councilman Moretti had voiced an interest in being part of that. I think we should activate that committee and start entertaining these kinds of issues that come up in our city and in each of the individual wards. Anyone wish to be heard on the letter and or the committee?
Council President, I did speak with Mr. Safransky today, and he's very gracious about how effective DPW has been in the past as well as yesterday, clearing up the streets. However, he did say that had the cars not been parked on the street, it would have been far more, it would have been an easier job for DPW as well as for the residents to have a clearer, more safer drive throughout Beth Park. We did brainstorm a few ideas. He wasn't 100% for as far as like no parking at all during winter. He did understand that there would be a lot of negotiating and brainstorming and things of that nature in order to find the most effective, most reasonable route to take. He and I spoke about the possibility of having a robocall encouraging residents in the meantime to park in their driveways, or to make it easier for DPW just in times of when there's a lot of snow expected. I did tell him that this will be a discussion to be had amongst council as well as residents of Beth Park to see what the best route to take is.
Thank you, Councilperson Muflahi. Anyone else wish to be heard on that issue?
How about our DPW commissioners? Do you have anything to say?
Mr. DeSantis? His microphone is blocked and his camera is blocked. I don't.
Oh, I'm on. I'm sorry. Technology is not my forte. So, we've tried this several times, different times throughout the years. A lot of people in Bethlehem Park, their driveways are small. A lot of people, some households have 4 or 5 cars.
Right.
And they would never be able to park in a driveway. I mean, obviously, if there was no parking during those hours, it would be great for DPW to get down there and clean that whole area up. There has to be some kind of in the middle here, I guess. I just don't know what the real answer is. Only because of, like I said, a lot of cars in different households and not enough parking. So, plus you have a restaurant down there that's has a lot of business, and it's a tax thing for the city. We don't want to disrupt that either. So I would think, like the third ward councilwoman said, we should discuss and have an input on it.
Well, that's what we're here for, to have some discussion. Now, if, Councilperson Muflahi, are you, did I hear you volunteer for the traffic committee?
Is that what you took it as? I would have no objection to that, especially in regards to this particular situation. I think it's important to look at it from a direct lens of me being the representative for that area, and to work directly with the residents to see what's best. Moving forward, I don't know about being fully committed to the traffic committee. However, in regards to this particular situation, sign me up. Yes.
Well, thank you. Any other suggestions? I know as I think Mr. DeSantis indicated, in the wintertime with the narrow streets and the number of cars, it's difficult for the plows. But in the summertime, again, it's still difficult for parking because of the activity with the restaurant and again, the narrow streets. And this isn't the first time this issue's come up, but there's hasn't appeared to be a satisfactory resolution. And perhaps the suggestion that cars is to the extent that it's possible, not be allowed on the streets from 11 to 7 to allow for plowing, snow removal might be a consideration. But other than that, I don't know what else to suggest. Councilman Sirdike, your microphone is off.
There we go. Is it on now?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay,
Carl Anderson is too.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, it might be a way, I don't know, now with all the communication and those iPhones and everything, that after a storm like we had, you know, after the DPW makes their first pass through or whatever, you know, cleans up as much as they can. And then the next day, move the parking to the other side somehow. I don't know if it's feasible, but it's an idea now that everyone's online and on Twitter and whatever. I don't know. It's just the idea I just thought about. I don't know.
The common sense of residents, they see the snow, they see what's going on outside, and they watch the news. They think before a storm, if they would try to move cars, you know, like I said, there's so many cars in one resident.
Right.
Put a couple cars in the driveway, that helps out, you know, to
Right.
lighten the load. Doesn't have to be totally empty, but if you could move some cars, I would just think it would be up to the resident to help out and, you know, move the car so we could get through there, beats up and everything.
Do a robocall. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there.
I think a
See what sticks.
robocall is a good suggestion.
Yeah, Mr. Council President, if I may, this is Chuck Clark.
Yes, sir.
We have, just in a few snow incidents we've had this year, have done 3 messages on social media and 1 robocall around everything from alternative parking, sidewalk clearing, hydrants. So the support is there. I think to Mr. DeSantis's point, sometimes the capacity to move a vehicle or what to do if I've got multiple cars is the issue. But I just want to raise the point that we are in support of Mr. DeSantis and his team with the communication efforts as well.
And thank you, Chuck. Along those same lines, though, not everyone has access to the social media. So the robocall suggestion from Councilman Sirdike, I think, even if it's several times during the day, because people also work, or as was suggested by the person who sent the letter, setting stricter guidelines during just after a storm to facilitate the removal of the snow, and then back to the normal alternating parking might be a consideration. So, all right, let me give it some thought, if that's okay. I'm considered the chairperson of the traffic committee, if that's going to be the appropriate forum to make a recommendation. But perhaps Tony DeSantis and I can talk, and whoever wishes to be part of that. Councilperson Muflahi already volunteered, at least on this issue.
Sure, I'd like to do that.
They can communicate with me At another time, we'll try to put something together that's convenient to discuss this issue. All right, anyone else want to be heard on that topic?
I would join your committee, Mr. Council President, just from a communication support perspective as you need it.
Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah, I'd like to get involved in that too, Council President.
All right.
I'm still on board too.
Yeah,
love
I
it.
already had your name down, Councilman Moretti. You're stuck. All right, thanks so much. Departmental reports, administrative. First, communication from the Division Department as City Attorney requests City Council approve attached opioid settlement agreement. Full context is with the City Clerk's office. Anyone wish to comment on that issue?
I do have questions.
Yes.
I looked over the documents that were supplied and it says that the total payment to the city is almost $7,000. Is that what the percentage breaks down to be? 7,000?
My understanding, yes.
Okay, and then it also says that it's contingent upon Schedule D, Lackawanna taking on the responsibility of, and I'm reading from page 3 of the resolution, I believe it is. Treatment for opioid use disorder, prevention of over prescribing and appropriate prescribing and dispensing of opioids, and then other strategic planning for the opioid epidemic, including expenditures for law enforcement and other first responder related to the opioid epidemic. Are we going to be rewarded approximately 7,000, but then expected to provide a laundry list of services that we may not be equipped to do?
Well, I think the sheer number of being so low, $7,000, there's not much that can be thrown at this huge problem that we've experienced. However, it could be spent possibly on either educational issues. I don't know what preventive measures can be taken, but perhaps supplying our fire and police departments with appropriate or remedial treatment such as Narcan or those kinds of quick interventions to save lives. The problem is the overall extent of the problem and the effort it would take to overcome this, and $7,000 isn't a lot of money to throw at any problem. So yeah,
Right.
they're expecting a lot for very little.
Right, so exactly what is the expectation, just so we know on how to determine whether or not the 7K is even worth it? Is it gonna put a strain on the city in order to roll out the programs that the lawsuit is expecting to do?
I don't think they're expecting us to do what we can't do fiscally. But they're expecting us to use the $7,000 and use it to address as best we can the problem. I would call on our city attorney, Mr. Judah, to add any insight to this.
Yeah, so as the council knows, this is the second lawsuit that's been settled related to the opioid litigation. And the cost to the city to respond to overdose calls and drug addiction and things of this nature has been phenomenal over the years. So when these lawsuits are being settled, we're getting monies, but we're expected to use those monies to continue to address the opioid issue. So it's not going to cost us any more than it's already costing us, but basically this money is going to help us to either improve our response times or to buy equipment or medications such as Narcan and EpiPens and things that are necessary to fight the opioid addiction. So it's nothing above and beyond what we're already providing. But this money will help assist us in continuing to provide those services. So I hope that answers your question a little bit better.
Thank you, Rick. Is there any other issue, any other questions?
Yes. Councilman
Councilman
Sirdike,
Sirdike.
so where does that money go? Does it go in a general fund, or does it go on a special line, or does it go in the fire department, or? Do
So
we
the
know?
money's coming to the city. What I intend to do with my associate is, this is the second one, there's probably gonna be more settlements. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a list of the settlements, what the money's to be used for. And then we'll work with the controller over the next several years to make sure we expend the money appropriately. I think there's language in the settlement that requires us to keep records. So we'll do that, but
Yep.
like I said, we're not gonna have any trouble spending this money. And the other thing I do want to point out is if we don't accept the settlement. Oh, are you guys there?
Yeah,
If
you're
we
back.
don't accept, if we don't accept the settlement, and we were to litigate this individually, the cost to litigate these cases individually is just phenomenal. So, unfortunately, that's the problem with a lawsuit of this type. So I hope that answers some of the questions that you might have, the councilman.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, moving on to item number 3. From the city attorney, request city council approve attached contract between the city and CNS engineers. Contract is on file at city clerk's office. Anyone have any comments or questions on that issue?
Yes, Councilman Sirdike.
Councilman?
So have we used them before? Is it, or what do they do? Like soil samples, or what do they do with the brownfields and that? Do Mr. Stanton know?
Rich Stanton might be able to help more on this, but they're basically environmental engineers. We put out an RFP and we requested rates and quotes from several engineering firms. There were several that responded, and this engineering firm appeared to be one of the top 3, I would say. And they've been around, and I know Rich has worked with them in the past, and they have a good reputation. So yes, they're going to assist us and provide services at hourly rates that are consistent with the grant that we received to test our soils and from time to time be necessary.
Good, yeah, thank you.
And are they a new firm, or have we used them in the past, or are they replacing someone?
I can answer some of this for you.
All
We
right,
had used, this is Rich Stanton, Director of Development. We had used CNS Engineering on the Brownfield Opportunity Area grant program, or otherwise known as the BOA, and they did good work there. So they're not new to the city. For phase 1, phase 2, we've used a number of firms. A phase 1 environmental investigation is the paper study looking at the prior use. Phase 2 is in the ground soils testing. I don't know that they've done phase 1, phase 2 work for us in the past. I think we've used like 4 or 5 firms, different firms in the past that I've seen in the records I've reviewed. I have worked with them before, but that's not why I hired them. I did a fairly objective quantitative spreadsheet on about 5 different criteria. And overall, they scored best by about 2 points or 3 points. There were 3 really good, strong people, firms that bid on there. The other thing they added on top of having some good environmental engineers is they also have planning experience, and they also have experience administering this type of grant on behalf of 2 other municipalities. And that was one of the strengths, because I think one of our needs is also grant administration assistance on this type of grant. So that's how we got them. They have done very good work for us, more on the planning, brownfield planning end in the BOA, and they have a strong environmental engineering background, and they also have very good experience, very specific experience to this type of grant, assisting other municipalities.
Thank you, Richard. One other question. How much did we receive in grant money and what is that earmarked for?
We have 300,000 and it's, we have 300,000 we received from EPA. Once we identify properties, we do a phase one, we do a phase two, and then we try to put those properties into productive reuse. There's
So is
also,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So are those properties such as the Boys Association property that needs to be tested and that property on Electric Avenue, is that going to result in testing done?
on the Electric Avenue property we've been speaking of, that we have time to do a phase one and phase two. The emergent issue on the other property you had, it may or may not be, there may be some eligibility questions on that based on what's of concern got there and also timing. We have a quote to test on that, which I received today. But I guess that's the answer to the question.
So it appears the intent is to use some of that money for testing both of those sites if they're eligible.
Yes, and I think the Electric Avenue property we've been discussing on, that's an easier one, but we've got to go phase one and then phase two in that order.
Okay. All right, thank you, Richard. Anyone else?
One more thing. Thanks, Rich, for answering all our questions. That's awesome. What about as long as you're talking, what about the Lincoln Annex property?
So Lincoln Annex is still, it's a good brownfield program. I actually did another RFP first that I think Chuck can answer in the day it's going in the paper. The next one up is 100 Donor Street, which is the Lincoln Annex, to try to see if we can get a developer to privately take advantage of the brownfield tax credits and do that project. In other words, we cannot realize the brownfield tax credits, which can be up to 24% of the entitled build out cost of a project. So that's the next. We finished the 539 request for proposals. The next one in the queue is 100 Donor Street.
And Rich, to answer your question, the RFP announcement for 539 Ridge will be in the Business First edition for January 28th. And as far as any subsequent properties, it will be a function of when the RFP is approved and working within Business First deadlines. So I think 100 Don is the next one up. And the mayor's also asked us to focus in on, forgive me, I think it's the 260 Ridge Road, 268 Ridge Road, the remaining parcel of the Friendship House. So those are the three that are in the hopper at Rich's direction.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Chuck. Item number 4, City Attorney, on behalf of Recreation Director Laxo, requests City Council approve contract between City and Feedmore, Western New York. Contract is on file at the clerk's office. Anyone wish to be heard on that?
Briefly, Mr. President, we had a prior relationship with the Cornell Cooperative Extension out of Niagara County. They ran our Veggie Van program for a number of years. Unfortunately, the grant that allowed them to extend outside of Niagara County into Erie County kind of terminated our relationship with them last year. So we were unable to have any kind of a farmer's market or Veggie Van last year, but I did reach out last year to Feedmore, which is formerly the food bank, and they were in the process of starting a farmer's market program, and they weren't able to get it into effect in Lackawanna last year, but they have already reached out to contact me about being able to set it up this year. So we don't have a schedule, dates, times, locations, or anything like that, but this is the first step towards reestablishing the farmers market program in Lackawanna. And I know from a couple of phone calls that they were definitely missed, and I'm looking forward to reestablishing it.
Great, Director Lack. So we appreciate your efforts. I agree. I think the community seems to enjoy the farmers markets and it serves a good purpose. Thank you. Anyone else on that issue?
I have a question for Brian. Mr. Laxo, do you have a little maybe committee running, or do you anticipate creating one to see what the ideal locations would be and times? So that way it can be either centralized or distributed evenly amongst the city? Have you gotten that far yet in the planning?
We don't have a committee or anything to that effect. And we haven't had that in the past with the Cornell Cooperative. What they have done in the prior incarnation was they have set up a schedule during the late morning, early afternoon at various locations throughout the city in various wards at places where they could handle traffic. I think Memorial Field was one near the library. The senior center was one. I believe Taggart Playground was another. These are the kind of things that we can discuss, and if anybody wanted to have any input, I'd be happy to have them call me or email me or however they wanted to do this. I don't know that a committee is necessary, but I mean, we're absolutely open to all ideas and see what works best for everyone.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Item number 5 from the city attorney, request city council approve attached resolution to waive the residency requirement for the assistant city attorney. Obviously, we discussed this on 1 or 2 other council meeting occasions. There's a desperate need for additional staffing, and this is more ministerial than anything else. Everyone seemed to be on board with the new hire. So regardless, are there any questions or any comments? All right. Item number 6 from Director of Recreation. Request city approve LA Sports Club, Inc. to use Veterans Stadium and Victory Playground for flag football games and practices. The information is included in the communication. Any issues there, Director Laxo? You want to say a few words on that, and then we'll open it up to any questions or comments.
Sure. We've had a long-standing relationship with the LA Sports Club. They offer tons of youth activities, be it outdoor like football, flag football, or indoor like the chess club, the Young Gentlemen's Club, which you can see on the agenda. They are also petitioning to use the senior center for the chess club. I think that was more of a courtesy. I don't know if that's something that necessarily the council has needed to approve in years past, but they're always offering great recreation opportunities for young people, and we're happy to help them out. And as always, they are fully insured, and just an organization that I'm happy to help out whenever we can.
Thank you, Director. Anyone have any comments or questions? Moving to item number 7, communication from DPW Commissioner. By City Council approve attached ordinance transferring budget funds to send Peter O'Connor to signal troubleshooting and maintenance training March 21st of this year, and the second session beginning on August 15th of this year. And this arose, and Mr. DeSantis, if you want to jump in on this, it's more than welcome to, but it's become quite clear in the city that we don't have trained personnel to address our traffic signals and the complication involved when they're in the computer internal running of those particular traffic devices. And we've become beholden and dependent on outside sources that aren't really timely, dependable, or expensive. And as a result, I think this is a great recommendation to train our own personnel in the DPW to be able to address those issues as they arise with our traffic devices. We have that problem on Sharon Parkway and South Park, and I believe on Weber and Abbott Road. And we've had a number of issues with the traffic device at the main intersection of Abbott and Ridge Road for years. Mr. DeSantis, anything you wish to add on that?
No, you said it all. And like you said, on these main roads, the police department has to put out an officer, sometimes 2 officers, to direct traffic, and that takes them off the streets. And we have to wait sometimes hours before a contractor comes in. So having somebody on staff that's trained could troubleshoot it. Hopefully we'll be able to repair it right away without having to call a contractor in. So I think it's just a great thing to have.
Yeah, I would agree. Anyone else wish to be heard on that issue?
Is there an update on Roland and Abbott and West Elmview signals? You know, any
Well-
frame or anything?
Well, when we finally got the order in and you guys okayed it, the time it's like 8 months before they could get all the equipment and the poles and everything. So you're looking at probably not until sometime early summer.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Councilman Sirdike, is he
Councilman?
the only one? Is he the only one that's gonna be trained? Or is there anybody else that has been trained or?
Well, there's a
Oh,
second person too, Tony, right?
Correct. We're going to send out Pete because he's a maintainer and that's in the scope of work. We're going to have 2 people trained. I really can't lose, 2 employees for a week like that at this time of the year. But again, as soon as he's done with training, it's a union issue too, who would be the next person to go out, but we need to have the most qualified person to go out to get trained next. But we are looking at 2 people.
Yeah, that was my point. I was gonna say, let's do 2. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else?
I just have a follow-up. It was that he stated that it would be based on the most qualified, so it won't be on a seniority basis.
Well, that's a union contractual issue. If
Okay.
you're the most senior man and you don't have the qualified, if you're not qualified for the position, no, I would not recommend that person to go. It would be the most qualified senior person.
Okay.
Well, they both have part in that, yes.
Anything else? Anyone else? All right, moving on to item number 8. City clerk requests city council approve appointment of Karen Polinsky of Lackawanna to fill unexpired term of one of our leaving bingo inspectors at a salary of $1,500 per year. Anyone have any questions or comments on that issue? Moving on to item number 9, a request from attorney Art J. Patrica for a commissioner of deeds to Madison and Busky, a paralegal in his office. Anyone wish to be heard on that issue? All right. Unless there's anything further, what I'd like to do is formally call to order the Lackawanna City Council regular council meeting for January 18th, 2022 to order. I would ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Absolutely. A reminder to everyone, this meeting is being recorded. Roll call, Council Muflahi,
Present.
Anderson,
Here.
Moretti,
Here.
Sirdike.
Here.
Morano,
Here.
Department Heads, Law,
Here.
Development. Rich,
Here, I was muted here.
okay, Public Works,
Here.
Public Safety,
Here.
Controller. Okay, Recreation,
Here.
Public Information.
Here.
All right, hearings from citizens, we did receive one, so I'll need a motion and a second to receive and file and refer that to the Law Department, Public Safety, and DPW Commissioner.
I so move, Morano.
Already second.
Maflahe, second.
So I have a motion by Morano, second by Moretti to receive and file, refer to the Law Department, Public Safety, and DPW Commissioner, and that's in reference to the email received from Mr. Safransky regarding parking in Bethlehem Park. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. I need approval of the minutes for the reorg meeting of January 4th, 2022.
Morano moves to adopt the minutes of the reorganizational meeting of January 4th, 2022 as written.
Second, Sirdike.
So I have a motion by Morano, second by Sirdike to adopt the minutes of the reorg meeting of January 4, 2022 as written. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Departmental reports. We have one from the city controller.
Morano moves to receive and file departmental report 1.
Moretti second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to receive and file departmental report 1. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Communications from division department heads, number 2. City attorney requests the city council approve the attached opioid settlement agreement. The full context of said agreement is on file in the clerk's office.
Morano moves to approve request.
Anderson.
Maflahe second.
They have a motion by Morano, second by Muflahi to approve request. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Number 3, city attorney requests the city council approve the attached contract between the city and CNS engineers, of which the full context of the agreement is on file in the clerk's office.
Maflahe moves to approve request.
Morano seconds.
We have a motion by Muflahi, a second by Morano to approve request. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Number 4, city attorney on behalf of the recreation director requests the city council approve the attached contract between the city and Feedmore, Western New York. Full context of the agreement is on file in the city clerk's office.
Maflahe moves to approve the request.
Anderson second.
A motion by Muflahi, second by Anderson to approve request. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Number 5, city attorney requests the city council approve the attached resolution to waive the residency requirement for the assistant city attorney.
Morano moves to receive and file act on resolution.
Moretti second.
We have a motion by Morano, second by Moretti to receive and file act on resolution. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. The resolution as per chapter 5-38 of the municipal code of the city of Lackawanna, whereas the city council is empowered to waive the requirement of residency in those instances where the employer has difficulty hiring and promoting the most qualified person because of the residency requirement. Be it resolved that the residency requirement for Heather Bauermister, assistant city attorney, be and the same is hereby waived.
Morano moves to adopt resolution as written.
Moretti second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to adopt resolution as written. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Number 6, Director of Recreation requests City Council approve LA Sports Club, Inc. to use Veterans Stadium and Victory Playground for flag football games and practices as indicated on the attached schedule. They are also requesting the use of the Lackawanna Senior Center on Mondays from February 28th, 2022 to April 11th, 2022 for their chess club. There is no conflict with any city activities. LA Sports Club, Inc. has provided proof of valid insurance. Full context of the agreement is on file in the city clerk's office.
Maflahe moves to approve the request.
Anderson second.
Motion by Muflahi, second by Anderson to approve request. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Carried 5-0. Number 7, DPW Commissioner requests the City Council approve the attached ordinance transferring budget funds to send Pete O'Connor to signal troubleshooting and maintenance training, March 21st, 2022 through March 25th, 2022, and again, August 15th, 2022 through August 19th, 2022.
Morano moves to receive and file act on ordinance.
Moretti second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to receive and file act on ordinance. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano,
Yes.
carried 5-0. The ordinance amending the budget ordinance adopted May 18th, 2021 by increasing appropriations for budget code I'm not going to go through the code, communication system training by $5,000 and decreasing the budget code for communication system personal services by $5,000.
Morano moves to adopt ordinance as written.
Second, Sirdike.
So a motion by Morano, second by Sirdike to adopt ordinance as written. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano,
Yes.
carried 5-0. Number 8, city clerk requests the city council approve the appointment of Karen R. Polinsky of Lackawanna to fill the unexpired term of Susan Brockenshire, bingo inspector, at a salary of $1,500 per year.
Morano moves to approve request.
Ready, second.
Motion by Morano, second by Moretti to approve request. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano,
Yes.
carried 5-0. Communications from citizens, number 9, Art Jake Pachuca, attorney at law, requests the city council approve commissioner of deed status within the city of Lackawanna to Madison Ambuski of Cheektowaga, a paralegal in his office, term to expire December 31st, 2022.
Morano moves to approve
To
request.
approve the request.
Okay, I had 2 of you. We're gonna
Muflahi
go.
moves.
I yield to the councilperson of the first ward.
Okay, so I need a
Thank
second.
Morano seconds.
All right. So I have a motion by Muflahi, second by Morano to approve request. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano,
Yes.
Mr. Council President.
City council, there is table items, old business. Any questions or any issues anyone wishes to address while we have this opportunity?
Yes, Mr. Council President.
Councilman Sirdike.
Yes, as I discussed with you this afternoon, I have concerns, as I'm sure some of our other council members do, about the resignation of our controller and other fiscal matters, which we, the council, oversee. We need an opportunity for the council to meet privately to handle these sensitive and confidential issues. We need to strengthen our communication regarding our responsibilities. And I think by us meeting and discussing our concerns, we will be stronger and more focused going forward. Any way we can achieve this meeting would be awesome for me. I don't know how the other council members feel or how you feel.
Well, Councilman Sirdike, first of all, I think that's an excellent recommendation and suggestion. My thought, and we'll hear from the rest of the council, rather than go into, since it would appear to be an executive session focus, it would seem to me that a special meeting for the city council and then adjourning to executive session would be appropriate rather than doing it this evening. And in order to give the rest of the council members an opportunity to reflect on various issues so that we can be productive at that next meeting. I don't know what everyone else feels, but obviously you're welcome to comment and ask any questions. Let me just take this, and I know everyone here feels the same way, that we would like to thank Carolyn Nicometto for the time that she has spent in the office of the controller. She did excellent work, tirelessly, selflessly, and contributed to the fiscal security of this city through her very diligent and professional performance of her duties. And to that end, I would like to thank her on not only my behalf, but on behalf of the city and city council members for her efforts. We will miss her.
Absolutely.
I agree 100%.
Amen to that.
I just want to say something moving forward. I didn't know of Carolyn's resignation until late in the game. And I just ask that maybe because I'm new on board, I'm not, I'm maybe a bit naive, but just for there to be open communication as to who's coming, who's going. I think it's very important for us to do the best job that we can in order to, rather than be extremely reactive, but to be proactive.
And that's a good thought. The only issue is obviously the hiring is by the mayor, and we don't really have much input on that, but I would trust that Mayor Iafallo would pick the most competent person, hopefully. And oftentimes she has shared those issues with all of us privately and through communication. And hopefully that avenue remains open, and we'll have an opportunity to express our feelings along those same lines. But I agree with you, Councilperson Muflahi. Anyone else?
Mr. President, just briefly, if I may,
Yes.
just publicly to thank Carolyn for her efforts. She has made my job easier every step of the way. Whoever is going to be taking over her position has huge shoes to fill, and a very high standard that she has set. So their work's cut out for them. She was really great in my book.
Oh, well said, Brian, and we all agree with you, and she will be missed, and she did have the best interest of the city at heart, and that's all we ask. Thank you. Anyone else? Councilman Sirdike, do you have any idea of when you might want to have a special meeting date set or time for matter?
Well, I don't know, however we can do it legally and with notice, and I don't know, next week, or when's our next meeting? Before the next meeting, I would think. Wouldn't that be, or,
I would think so.
yeah, whenever you pick a date, you know.
All right, well, let me check with our city clerk, Jeff DePasquale, and we'll check the legalities with our city attorney, Richard Judah. Pick an appropriate date and hopefully communicate that to everyone. And if everyone's on the same board, on board with the date and time, we can run with it.
Sure, that sounds like the plan.
As long as it's not 6 o'clock on Sunday, okay?
Next week.
6 o'clock on Sunday would be most appropriate. Everybody would be around.
This is true.
All right, any other issues by anyone? If not, then Morano moves to adjourn.
Ready, second.
They have a motion by Morano, second by Moretti to adjourn the meeting. Muflahi,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Moretti,
Yes.
Sirdike,
Yes.
Morano.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Go
everybody. Have
Bills.
a good night.